do you feel like taking on that responsibility, kind of putting all of your efforts into this one lane have kind of affected how you approach things? Because I find that if you're committing to something like building an entire company, like I feel like the pressure must feel like it's much more moved onto your shoulders, right? Like, do you feel have you felt like a significant like emotional or responsibility shift over the past couple months? Was there
I
like
mean,
a
I definitely
tipping
truly
point?
feel like an owner now and a co-founder. And before, they would tell me like, yeah, you actually really did develop this. This works. This is, and that, that was nice to hear. It was kind of like a, ooh, yay, kind of a badge, if you will. Now it's truly like, wow, I really did co-found this company. But aside from that, and this is an interesting thing, and people may, disagree with me or take offense, and I apologize to anyone out there that disagrees, is when you do when you are a nurse, that is a high pressure job. That is a bedside nurse, and in all the work that I've done, been a bedside nurse, been, if you take my healthcare career, um, been a quality improvement patient safety professional that was, responsible for doing reviews of very serious harm events that were very unfortunate, things like that. Moving on to the leadership role across the system for supporting all the ICU nurses in a large hospital system, to now being a co-founder and chief clinical officer. Hands down, the most um, responsibility I've ever felt was at the bedside of a patient. And I think that's hard for folks that haven't been in that kind of position to understand, when they're like, aren't you really scared? Aren't you nervous? I'm like, no one's dying on me. Like, I am not responsible for any individual life. Businesses are businesses, but they should never be seen as, as valuable as a human life. I'd say that knowing full well that I have full responsibility for this. As we bring employees on board, I will be responsible for their well-being as we grow our team, and I take that very seriously. But as far as what stresses me, it just won't compare. I hope it never compares, I should say, to actually sitting at the bedside of someone and having that responsibility. Um, it's so funny that I have so many, young young nurses that I work with, not young, like young in the career. Let me clarify that take 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 that on. Not, I don't want to paint the wrong picture or anything. Take on this role and take on this responsibility, and sometimes they are very young, like in their early 20s, and they're taking on the role of a bedside nurse. I don't even think that they comprehend like what responsibility they have, because then it'll come down to like presenting on stage a project they did, and you'll see like the look of terror in their eyes that they have to go talk in front of a group of people, and they get very annoyed with me. I'm like, why are you nervous? No one is dying. Like, you do the hard part every day. Just go up there and talk. What's the worst thing that could possibly happen? You mess up. If you mess up there, nothing bad happens. If you mess up at the bedside, that's when you guys, like, I trust you at the bedside. I trust you to go up there and present your work. And so I think, a little bit different in that, and that I appreciate you pointing out that I have the responsibility of the company, and I fully agree. But it just is, it's not the same as, I hope to never find that to be as stressful as, what I used to do.
Yeah, I mean, I think you illustrated that pretty beautifully in terms of just it's all about perspective, right? I think that when people do something, and most people's jobs aren't like centered around having other people's lives in their hands, they have like a different level of connection with that, right? And the amount of importance that they actually put on them. But when it comes down to it, right, like the people who are actually out there saving lives, and the people that can really process that in a way where they understand the weight of responsibility they have, then that really changes everything from that point. Like everything kind of feels a little less important, or a little less impactful or stressful than it originally was. So I guess that just means that you're great at your job, like I'm sure like not everybody can fully does it, right? It's like you either care a lot and you're good at it, or you don't care, and then you're able to live a much more less emotionally impacted life from it. But